Tonight, Little Rock police are investigating an early morning homicide at the Roadrunner on Broadway. Thank you for joining us. I'm Sarah Horbacewicz. We're still working to learn more, but here's what we know right now. Police say they responded to a call of a shooting just before 4 o'clock this morning and found a man unresponsive on the ground. He was pronounced dead at the scene, and officers secured the area to begin their investigation. And Arkansas State Police announced that a suspect in West Memphis died after being injured in a pit maneuver stop after a chase Friday night. Police say 32-year-old DeMarcus Clark was driving recklessly and over 120 miles per hour before the stop. The Marion Police Department started the chase before asking for help from ASP. An ASP sergeant was treated and released from a local hospital after the chase. ASP is still investigating the incident. Now, it was a weekend of healing over at Camp Ferncliff in Little Rock, where survivors of the mass shooting at Westside Middle School in Jonesboro and Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado gathered. THV 11's Jalissa Garza spoke with the man behind the mission of this weekend and joins us now with more details. Jalissa?
Yeah, Sarah, reflecting and healing was the goal of this weekend. Camp Ferncliff became a safe space for the survivors of the mass shooting in Jonesboro in 1998. David Gill was the director of Camp Ferncliff at that time and said he wanted to find a way to help the survivors, and that led to the start of Westside Camp.
Nature is healing, music, art, the things you do at camp are just naturally conducive to healing. So we thought if they could come here away, it might be helpful for them and their families.
Gill says that summer helped survivors work through their trauma and talk openly to one another about what they experienced. He says after the mass shooting at Columbine happened, the Jonesboro survivors wanted to connect with them, and eventually those students from Columbine came here to Camp Ferncliff to join them. Tonight at 10, we'll hear from one of the survivors of the Columbine mass shooting on how this camp here in the natural state about 1,000 miles away was a vital part of her healing journey.
Thank you, Jalissa. Well, it was one of the hottest weekends that we've seen so far for the year. Matter of fact, yesterday was our hottest day of the year with a high around 102, and we saw highs around 100 degrees once again. We're still pretty warm this afternoon and evening. Here's a look at those current temperatures. We're sitting at 99 here in the metro with a heat index of 108, 100 in Hot Springs. It's 104 in Texarkana with a heat index of 112, one of the hotter spots right now. We've also had the chance of seeing a few pop-up showers and storms, especially across southern portions of the state. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Clark and Hot Spring County until another 15 minutes or so. Some of these storms have been known to produce some large hail, but at the moment right now this storm is beginning to kind of die down just outside of Arkadelphia and Caddo Valley there. Tonight is going to be quiet for us generally, besides maybe a stray shower or two for some across the state. Mostly clear to partly cloudy conditions, very mild in the upper 70s to low 70s depending on where you're located, with another warm day in store, but not nearly as hot as what we saw this weekend. Temperatures are actually going to be several degrees cooler, and we do have the chance of seeing some storms as well. I'll highlight what to expect for the upcoming week just ahead.
All right, thanks, Krause. Now, a lot of people are trying to stay cool right now as thousands of Entergy customers in West Little Rock are experiencing power outages. The outage extends from Markham to almost Cantrell, and it's impacting over 3,000 people. We're working to learn what caused the outage, and Entergy says they estimate power to be restored by 7:30 tonight. Right now, a final push for signatures from the Citizens for Arkansas Public Education and Students group to put the LEARNS Act to a ballot vote. The campaign has less than 24 hours to meet their goal of just over 54,000 signatures. This afternoon, CAPES estimates they already have 53,000 signatures, but are still counting that exact total. CAPES also says that they have 36 out of the 50 counties they need represented on the petition. The papers will all have to be given to the Attorney General's office tomorrow for future certification. CAPES says they'll be collecting signatures at the Capitol for the rest of the evening. Back to school is right around the corner, and we've talked about concerns with ChatGPT in schools. Now, Pulaski County Special School District is preparing teachers for the software. ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence chatbot. It allows a student to tell it to write an essay about a topic, then produces said document in seconds. Dr. Tyler Tavarer is an education trainer and speaker. He trained PCSSD teachers on the negatives and positives of ChatGPT to take back to their students.
It's used best not when it does the work for you, but when it helps you do the work better. If you don't teach them how to use it properly, they're still going to use AI, ChatGPT, Bard. They're going to use these things to do stuff for them, but they're not going to be as good as if you help guide them through that.
But not all teachers are sold on the idea. We're going to hear from more teachers on that training tonight at 10. Now, as kids get back into the classroom and the LEARNS Act goes into effect soon, getting kids up to speed on their reading is a top priority for Arkansas educators. Tonight, THV 11's Brooke Buckner shows us how a couple of organizations are helping kids improve and get where they're supposed to be.
We wanted to do it because we wanted to bridge the learning loss gap.
That's Bryant Boys and Girls Club literacy coach Kelsey McCoy. Friday, they wrapped up their new 7-week summer reading program in a partnership with Bryant Public Schools. She's seen the students' progress firsthand.
They have more confidence in themselves within the program, and they have just grown so much academically and personally.
The club CEO says nearly 600 students from multiple schools participated, and 95% of them were below reading level at the start of the program. Now, almost 20% of them are above their grade reading level.
It shows that this program is working this summer.
Our Kids Read, a volunteer-based literacy organization, is also seeing positive results from its summer reading program.
Last summer, we had 86% of our kids either maintained or even increased, like 14% of that number increased. So they didn't just not slide. They grew. So we were super pleased with that.
Leading up to this school year, Arkansas educators are pushing for reading readiness with the LEARNS Act. The act states by the beginning of the 2025-2026 school year, if a public school student has not met the 3rd grade reading standard as defined by the state board, or the student does not have a good cause exemption, the student shall not be promoted to 4th grade. According to the most recent ACT Aspire results, 3rd grade reading scores dropped from 35% of students reading at or above their level in 2022 to 32% in 2023.
Grade level reading is critically important.
And that's why French says she will keep working to help kids get to where they need to be.
Everybody piling on as a community to support our students is really the name of the game, in my opinion.
Brooke Buckner, THV 11 News.
Today, former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson appeared on Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan. They talked about a host of issues like fentanyl, other candidates, and presidential age limits or a mental health test at a certain age.
Well, there's a mental acuity test every time you go to Iowa and there's a town hall meeting with the questions from the voters. They do a pretty good job of assessing those issues. You know, as a practical matter, you want a president to be in good health and in charge of you know, the country in a good mental state, but the tests are not constitutional. And
Hutchinson is 72 and would be the second oldest president should he make it to the White House. He also talked about his recent plans to overhaul federal law enforcement.
Well, our justice system is the envy of the world. It's what sets our democracy apart, that we're under the rule of law. And if you undermine that system of justice, then you're undermining our democracy. And it's a human system, so there's going to be flaws in it that you've got to correct and adjust.
We'll have more on what Hutchinson thinks that reform should look like tonight at 10. This weekend, former President Donald Trump held a rally as his legal problems continue to mount. Tomorrow, there will be an arraignment for another Mar-a-Lago employee charged in the classified documents case. Meanwhile, out on the trail, Republican presidential candidates are treading lightly when it comes to former President Donald Trump's legal woes.
If these accusations are true, it's incredibly dangerous to our national security. But again, this is coming down from a Department of Justice that, frankly, the American people don't trust.
This is heating up just as a new CBS News poll reveals 70% of Americans feel work income just isn't keeping up with inflation.